Hello everyone, my name is Sebastian Szewczyk and I'm software developer from Software Mention. I'm really happy to be here with you and I'm going to tell you about React Profiler. React Profiler is a React DevTool plugin which allows you to collect timing information about rendering of each component, which may be useful in optimizing and debugging your application. It came to life around September last year and is supported from React DOM version 16.5 or higher. To run it, you have to open React DevTools and you will see Profiler tab on top. Click it and then click Start Recording button. Then do some interactions on your application. When you're done, click Stop Recording. You will need additional steps on React Native. First is enabling debugging mode, and the second is installing one of those two external tools, which allows you to connect React DevTools to your application. Let's go into some examples. So I created blank app with create React app and added few components with counter that were changed by some set timeout function calls. Here is how it looked like in the profiler. So we get a flame graph that represents a component tree of your application. Each bar represents a single component, and its width and color represents how much time it took to render it. React works in two phases. First is render, and second is commit. In the commit phase, React applies any change. So for example, insert, update, or remove DOM node. Data shown here is grouped into commits, and selected commits is colored black on the commit selector on the top pane. So we can change the commits there, and here we can see that the gray components were not rendered during selected commit, and only component 1 were rendered here. On another commit, we can see that almost all components were rendered, and only a group of components on the bottom left section were not rendered. When we click on component, we will get zoomed into it, and we will get information about that component on the right pane. When we double-click on component, we will enter component chart. And here we can see information related to that component, and we will see only commits in which the component rendered. Profiler also features the ranked chart, which shows the components ordered by the time it took to render them. And here is another commit of the ranked chart. Also, we have the filters, which allows you to show or hide native elements, or to filter out short commits that don't really involve the performance of our application. Let's talk about some real-life problem. So I had React Native application which took long time to render because of long list of elements. So I recreated a problem with expo init blank application. I added flat list there with 100 children component, which were simple text components. Here's what we get in the profiler. We can see that on the first commit, scroll view had only 11 children. On the second commit, number of children increased, and all of them were rendered. Same happens with the third and with the 10th commit. With each commit, all of the children are rendered. Let's go back to the first commit and double-click on the first text component, and we will see on the component chart that it rendered 10 times. That's really bad. That component didn't have any logic and rendered. So there is optimization technique which involves using React pure components, and that's the React internal that will compare the new and old props and state and won't render if nothing changed. So I replaced that in my example and named that smart text. So on the first commit, nothing really changed. But on the second commit, we will see that we have group of not rendered components and new components that were rendered. We can see the same with the third and the 10th commit, where only new chunk of children were rendered. Let's confirm that with going back to first commit and double-click on smart text component. Yay, we did it. So some of you might notice that there are cell renderer components before smart text. Those are the inner components of virtualized list, and to fix that, we have to change React Native code. I don't have time to tell you about solution for that, but if you're interested, search for the open pull requests on the GitHub. Thank you all. That's all.